What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and we're back with another episode of the Wright Quality Podcast, ready to jump into all of this free agency craziness. But friends, co-hosts, please remind the people of who y'all are.
Ashley Wright the first, Jared McCain's assistant.
Mistaken for Jared McCain at TSA, reporting for duty. First thing that I heard.
Honestly, Gail, y'all have similar personalities.
Y'all really do. I shoot his TikToks, I would know.
Shouts out. That's old brother folks from across the pond. Well, like I said, we're gonna touch base soon. It's been a while since I locked in with him, but shouts out Twizzy, Jared McCain.
Twizzy.
Twizzy? Is that a variation of twin?
That is the lingo. I'm tapped in. Y'all don't know. Very locked in. Full L. That's my, like I said, brother folks. Y'all don't even know about that one. That's Milwaukee lingo as well. Shouts out JP. Shouts out putting Milwaukee on the map. Big four. Anyways. Like I said, tapped in.
Miguel, you are acting so different right now.
I'm not acting very. I saw my other light skinned brother JT in Vegas. There's no bad blood over the coverage that we put out. Saw him over at hopping out the club. And won't say which hotel, but saw him. Acknowledged.
Did you see him without the hair? Did he have the hair?
No, it was pre-cut. He didn't let me know he was doing that, which JT is wild for that. Didn't even let me know. Quick acknowledgement, just, looked at me. There wasn't any, like, hey man, there's no alpha dog in Boston. He got what it was, Coverage was, it's been legit. So, saw him out there. Did my thing before Kai got out there, kind of did my, didn't want to stream. Felt like it was a little bit too much. Didn't want to bring too much attention to it, but yeah.
The media really pits you guys against each other.
There's only so many Black Kings that can have coverage. Mm-hmm. Right now, he's having his time. We'll have our go around soon next year. But
yeah, I know
some low key, some slight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the coverage. Am I wrong? They're out there. I was there. It was before I done.
I saw it. I saw a tweet. They were just trying to make sure you guys didn't throw hands when you saw him walking out of the hotel.
Yeah, his entourage was deep. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I was, there for a bachelor party. It's all love. We were there, celebrating good times, good vibes. Yeah, he had a very deep posse, various people, ages.
Mm-hmm.
He was walking fast, though. I will say, he walked out, and it looked like he was trying to escape that entourage. Like most of them weren't with him, but also could be just NBA gape. His strides are very long, so yeah.
Right.
Anyways, enough about the inside coverage that we've been providing. Let's start this here pod. Let's go. Let's get it.
Let's get into it, man. A lot of movement in free agency, as expected, I guess, but still weird. Very, very weird free agency so far. We'll start with some early moves, and we'll start with New York. Of course, we all know that one of the first moves before free agency officially began was them trading for Mikal Bridges. I guess it depends on who you ask. Kind of gave up a lot, but for what it seems like they're trying to do with that team, seems worth it, especially in the right now. But not only did they trade for Mikal Bridges, they also signed OG. 5 years, $212.5 million. First, thoughts on OG's contract. Second, thoughts on the New York Knicks post those moves, as well as losing Hartenstein.
Yep.
Ooh, okay. So I hate the contract they gave OG because I really feel like signing Mikal was a mirror of OG. At some point, they're going to get rid of one of those players, and I think it'll be OG. A little bit more injury prone, but who knows? When you send Mikal to Tibbs, he could probably prove us all wrong. But I also think losing Hartenstein, that's difficult because Mitchell Robinson hasn't become what we hope for him to be yet. So the interior presence takes a hit. But as far as adding Mikal, I think that gives them the option to play with a lot of lineups. They can do a lot of different things when it comes to the 3-and-D. So I'm really excited to see what Tibbs cooks up there. But yeah, I don't know about giving OG $200+ million.
Yeah, I'll quickly add. I think the money in this NBA makes sense for a player like OG right now. Ideally, I do think with his injury proneness, I would have been hesitant. And I'm not saying that the Knicks weren't, but maybe they just want to go all in on what they built on last season, which I can't be too upset at. I expected them to lose either Hartenstein or Mitchell, but when they traded for Mikal and then signed OG, I figure they're probably going to play a lot of small ball anyway, which they're one of the few teams that can probably afford to do so. So given that OG's healthy, like you said, actually, there's a lot of lineups that they can play with, and they'll probably play a lot of Julius at 5 potentially, or maybe they'll start Mitchell Robinson and just kind of play around with what they have. But I don't know if they go. I don't know how hard they'll try to go find a true center. Just saying that's the option they have, Gail. I'm not saying it's.
They do
Did you
have
say
that option.
Julius Randle at 5?
I don't think it's far fetched,
It's not. It's not the worst thing you could do.
especially if
it's
you
great.
have Mikal at what 3?
They're
Yeah,
asking a lot for those front guards to hold that weight, especially with Jalen Brunson on that front end of that lineup. I don't know if there's enough defense to hold all that up.
I mean, what else you gonna do? What's your other option?
Trade Julius Randle. No, is that
Yeah,
not
no.
the next option? Is that not?
We're not against that. On the pod, we have said that they
He
should.
needs. I don't understand the Hartenstein leaving when
I
Mitchell
don't
Robinson
either.
plays 5 games a year. He was
I
the
don't.
glue. He was the glue next to Josh Hart. Josh Hart was there. Like I feel like yeah. I don't know. Maybe OG was the link to maybe be released this year if you pick up Mikal, because it's just like I don't know. That doesn't make too much sense to me.
It doesn't, because what do you do with Josh now? I forgot about Josh Hart, and I hate.
Yeah, like
Probably if you don't start him,
I
you
I
could
don't
start him
know.
and bring DiVincenzo off the bench. I mean, either one.
Does Jericho Sims make that leap? I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm saying like
Maybe. I don't know.
all Isaiah really. I mean, he's got to become a better passer for sure. But it's like it was hustle and just boards, and like that's needed. But like I don't.
I
Sorry.
think if I'm the Knicks and I got Mikal, it may not be the most ideal situation, but if I have Mikal as a part of my core now, I guess I can afford to lose Hardenstein. But you got to think the way Tibbs plays them anyway, he's better having a 5 that can switch anything anyway. They're only going to run into problems with so many teams, right? Like they're going to run into a problem with Philly now, like a healthy Philly now. They'll run into problems with, but like they'll only run into problems with a team that has a big that is dominant. So Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, you know what I'm saying?
Vucevic.
No.
What? I have to think for a minute.
I was trying to see if you were serious, but it seemed like
I had to think Vucevic for a minute.
Nikola, sorry, Jokic. Sorry, you said there's the other. My fault. I was.
Wait.
Wires cross. Continue.
Miguel, shut up. I'm not about to do this with you.
So you were actually thinking Jokic when you said Vucevic?
100% had to have. There's no way I could have. Yeah.
No,
I was
thinking Sasha Vujacic, any other Vujacic besides Nikola.
You was trying to get that Vucevic.
Nikola Tesla, shit. Shoot. One for the day. Let it go. Let it ride. There we go. We're back.
But honestly, I think the Knicks will be fine. Who's to say they either don't get a center in free agency, or they're still the trade deadline, obviously. So maybe they get into the season, realize they do need a center, and they grab them before the trade deadline. Still a lot of time to see, but I think as of right now, they're okay. We did mention Hardenstein though, so we can quickly touch on his deal. 3 years and 87 million to OKC. Too much for him?
I don't mind it. The auxiliary pieces are there now for OKC. I feel like you have the star power, you have the people that are going to go get you the points, and now you have like him and Caruso next to Lou Dort. Next to Chet just looming. Yeah. I think they have a recipe for winning basketball. Like this might be that jumping off point that we've been talking about for OKC, the move away from a move that puts them into that spot where it's just like now they have guys that are, ball hawks, shooters, defenders, hustle guys around your core stars. This is going to get serious out there now.
Yeah, no, I think that 80 million is perfect for a player like Hardenstein. I even love OKC down to their coach. I really think that they're well coached, and I think with the pieces that they just got, it's going to be awesome to see them next year.
Yeah, they're primed for. I think they're entering. I mean, they're prime in the sense of how this team is being constructed, and that's also assuming that everybody else continues to take a leap. Does Shea have another leap in him? I mean, this is already an MVP candidate, right? So does he have is there another level for him?
Does he need another level? Or are you just saying?
I'm just saying he doesn't necessarily need one, but if he has one, even better.
Yeah.
J-Dub has one, even better. You know what I'm saying? If Lou Dort has one, I'm saying all these players still have not necessarily reached their ceiling. I still don't think we've seen Shea's ceiling. We haven't seen J-Dub's ceiling. We haven't seen Lou Dort's ceiling.
He's touching that 3-point line a little bit more. He's starting to activate out there. It's like now when he really stretches that and lets that be a part of his game, I think that's when he does take that final leap. And I think a team that's matching that, push caliber-wise, the Kings with that DeMar DeRozan pickup. I'm glad D-Rose came home. The Bulls didn't deserve him either.
Right.
So original.
So original. But I am a fan of the move for DeMar. I do not think it's a bad move for Sacramento, but I do not think that it makes them definitively.
It's not the jump that OKC was there and they're solidifying their spot. I think the Kings are still trying to find what is going to work for them because they've had minor success, but I wouldn't say on the scale that OKC has in terms of a Western Conference Finals berth.
The Kings need defense. So my only thing with the DeRozan signing is
not Western Conference Finals. Sorry, it felt like it. Sorry.
You added more offensive firepower, so I think you have an amazing backcourt now, and you have a third reliable scorer and another clutch player at that. So I think offensively they're fine. Especially in the West, though, I guess I would have looked for them to make a move that might have shored them up a little bit more defensively. Not to say that the team can't buy in, and I think with Mike Brown, he's gonna preach that anyway, an effort regardless. But I think if they had a defensive piece, a defensive specialist type of person, I think that would, if I'm just looking at them objectively as a team, that would make me feel more confident in them taking that next step in the West specifically. But I'm not mad at the DeRozan move whatsoever. Did y'all think that was what did y'all think about his contract?
Yeah, for what you need him for. I mean, I guess they didn't need necessarily more offense, but the fact that he does give you an extra piece, you can relax, when he has the ball in his hands. It's another threat on the floor. Then the contract was warranted, but it doesn't put them over the hump for me. Just like you said, Steve, it doesn't give them that factor that OKC has now that they've added Caruso and Hardenstein. They don't have that factor in my opinion. And I'm not sure they'll finish top 5 in the West, but I'm not sure if it's indeed out of the first round. I'm not sure, that type of thing. But
them finishing top 5 is bold.
I think they'll finish top 5 for sure. For sure.
Who's the 4 in front of them?
That's a good question. You still have Dallas out there.
Spurs. And then you
What?
have, I mean, let's talk about the biggest signing in the West. Chris Paul
Jesus.
is going
What?
where?
That's not the
San Antonio.
biggest signing in the
That's
West.
Go to San Antonio. That is going to be a match made in heaven. They're waiting on Pop to retire to make Chris Paul the next coach. I see the vision of what is happening. The veil is unleashed. Welcome to the madness.
Are
Chris Paul
so
is going to
left
average
field.
20 assists a game.
You are so far gone right now.
Off of
Left
like probably
field.
like 20 minutes, probably like an assist a minute. Wemby is going to be MVP. It's going to be crazy.
I wish we had.
Can't wait for everyone to see. Let's talk thoughts. I mean, biggest signing so far. I mean, hands down.
I mean, CP 1 year, 11 million to San Antonio. I think it's a great trial run.
Mhm.
Of the century, right?
It arguably could be his last year. I mean, could he probably play past this coming season? Sure, if he wanted to. I guess that really also all depends on how this season looks. Because I mean, I don't know if this is truly a match made in heaven, which it very well could be. I'm not putting anything past Chris Paul, even with where he is now with the Wemby. Because one of the biggest things last year was how nobody tried to get Wemby the ball, in San Antonio. So if you're playing with Chris Paul, who's literally like, why would I not? How am I not going to feed this person?
Mhm.
It could be a match made in heaven where if they keep certain pieces around and they really grow, and I think we're all expecting Wemby to take a leap this season as well after his rookie year. I mean, we're not talking about them making any major noise in the playoffs, but potentially a play-in team, maybe potentially.
Talk about finals.
Play-in.
Harrison Barnes also signing there.
Miguel, can we be relatively serious?
Hey, also, I'm seeing the vision San Antonio's putting
The
down.
finals was 10 years ago.
Eight, or was it 10? Wow, Jesus Christ. Anyways, let's not age us too far. I'm a Chris Paul realist, so I saw him having maybe like 1 or 2 years left. Like I think this was it. I think the only thing that would extend his career to LeBron-esque years close for a point guard his size would be playing with a guy like Wemby or Giannis. And here we are. The defensive glue. He could be Cone Paul. He could be Cone Paul and just dime. Because behind him, he has a 7'4" shadow monster ready to just erase any shot that is within a 10 to 15 foot radius. So
it sounds wild, but what you're saying is making sense. I'm following.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I think this is his, his last hurrah. If it doesn't work here, it's done. This is where Spurs is like the franchise where like old vets go to die. Steven Jackson, Tracy McGrady. Golly, there's so many.
They're not. It's not that many. That's literally it.
Matt Bonner. Well, he was there forever.
It's literally it.
Hold on.
Miguel, okay. You make sense, right? All I'm saying is if we add another level of reality to what you are talking about, the Spurs as a team, right? The team.
Did Joe Johnson sign there? Sorry.
Who?
Did Joe Johnson ever sign with the Spurs?
No.
That's literally it.
That's it, Miguel. That list is not that long.
Shaq touched the Spurs. He had to, no?
No. That's not in his jersey collage, bro. He has never been a Spur.
I'm shocked. I was just looking at that the other day. Anyways, go on. Yeah, so you said I was valid was the last thing I heard.
You are valid. It does make sense.
Boom.
But what we're saying is, even with Chris Paul and Wemby, the team comp for the Spurs doesn't produce anything that has us feeling like past potentially play-in that they're going to do anything. Even if Chris Paul did play 2 years, I don't even think the Spurs are in a position necessarily make another move that could help them. But I think Chris Paul will expedite Wemby's ascension. I'll say that.
Mhm.
I think
Stephon Castle would like to have a word with you.
I do love that draft pick though. But I mean, we're talking about an extremely young. Again, I'm not doing this with you, man.
Hey, man. Hey, they end up being playing and knocking out my core. My poor Jose Alvarado. And then storming the number 1 seed.
Oh my God.
We'll talk. And Joe Johnson,
won't be
closest
talking
was the
about
Memphis
this.
Grizzlies. That's the closest I think he ever made it to San Antonio. I'm gonna think of one by the end of the pod. No Googling.
You won't. I
Straight
know
brown,
No.
straight power.
there isn't anybody else. But
There is.
we'll go through a few more. I won't call them completely irrelevant, but more so like one-offs. Like the team only had this one move. Nick Claxton signed 4 years, $100 million with the Nets. Sucks because I have no idea what the direction of the Nets is. But I mean, given his play for them over the past couple of years, NBA money in today's world.
You know what?
Now, I would have, if I was him, especially after the McHale trade, I probably would have been like, was there another team that's going to pay me this bread? But nonetheless, he got his bread. We'll see whatever Brooklyn does, but they're clearly in a rebuild. So maybe this is just time for him to stat pad, whatever. I don't know. But that
Ooh.
Sorry, I thought about it. We have the new draft slogan.
What?
In the pooper for Cooper. We are
Miguel, did you take medicine before this pod?
what?
Green medicine?
That's a wild take. No. This is how
It's
I
not a wild
this
take.
is-
It's not.
this is me every day. This is
No, it is not you every day.
this is
a different level. This is a different level, bro.
This is post Vegas. Miguel, this is just what we have to live with now. I was forever changed. This, you know what they say.
I have no idea what they say. Who is they? I don't even know.
Leave it in Vegas. They say like,
Okay.
keep it and leave it in Vegas.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right.
Similar. Drag for flag? Is that better? Or
hey man, listen. Moving forward.
We can get a different angle here.
Anyway. So
I got you.
The next signing, Emmanuel Quickly, 5 years, $175 million to the Raptors. How we feel about this contract?
Anytime a black king gets that much of a bag, I have to celebrate. Did he deserve it?
No.
No.
So they paid him that, and then they did. So Scotty is what, 5 years? 5 years is like it's over 200, right?
He's over 2. Yeah, it was 5 years, like 205 or something, 207.
Like probably similar to Maxi's, something like that.
Wow.
So how do we feel about those two contracts essentially leading the rebuild for Toronto?
Like you said, NBA money. I don't know if I've seen enough from Scotty to give him $200 million. I do really like Scotty. Let's not I'm not gonna take away from his talent, but it's not. But maybe you know what? Inflation. These are probably the new NBA contracts.
Yeah,
these are your regular rookie extensions, and I mean Scotty was an all-star, right, last year?
Yeah, he was.
So I mean, given all the incentives, I guess the money also makes sense. He is the future of the franchise now, obviously. So who else they giving the money to? I guess, but we'll see what Toronto looks like. They're in rebuild mode as well, so I guess
10 seed. Come on now, battling, scrapping, 10 seed.
10 seed. That's realistic.
Very, very. I don't know how relevant this will end up being, but Royce O'Neal, 4 years, $44 million to stay with the Suns. I guess it's nice to shore up a rotational piece, but that
they need that. They need a bench.
You need a bench.
So
I'm not mad at that contract though for him. I think we briefly mentioned it in another pod, but Obi Toppin, 4 years, $60 million to the Pacers. I don't think that's bad money. I would like to see him produce a little bit more, but I don't think it's bad money for him.
The Prince has returned. The Prince is home. Torian Prince, welcome to the Milwaukee Bucks.
We'll get there. We will get there. But that's crazy to say the Prince is home because that's insane.
Prince Fielder first, but then Torian Prince is second.
Baseball Prince Fielder.
First Vegetarian Avenue.
Miguel, you
Okay.
got so many interesting facts that you are sharing with us today.
Or is it could have been vegan? Let me double check. Let me fact check.
Anyway, no, one of the more interesting signings of free agency. Miles Bridges, 3 years, 75 million to stay with Charlotte. Thoughts on it?
Y'all. Good
Ooh,
player. Really good player. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
vegetarian.
given okay, so in all honesty, given his production pre-case,
Yeah. Yeah.
the money is not like the money makes sense. The money is
And
not
post case.
my
Post case,
question.
he was kind of playing okay.
The money is not so much the question. I am a bit surprised. A part of me is not surprised seeing that Charlotte brought him back to begin with, but I am a bit surprised that he ended up re-signing. And ultimately, I wish I could say I was more surprised that he's really back in the league, seemingly with no further punishments coming. I mean, we also saw Kevin Porter Jr. sign with
Kevin Porter, I was gonna say to the Clippers.
so that's
Where-
interesting in and of itself. That those situations and circumstances are being overlooked or swept under the rug once again. Again, not surprising. We've seen this, unfortunately, but I don't know what Charlotte's doing. I also think that a big reason Miles might have resigned is because it makes a lot of sense for him playing with LaMelo, and if nothing else, he'll always eat playing with LaMelo. So from that perspective, maybe, but still don't know if Charlotte truly has a vision or direction past having. I mean, they have a little bit of a future because obviously Brandon Miller, had a great rookie season and he's expected to take another leap, I'm assuming, but I still don't see them as a playing team at best if LaMelo's healthy. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't even know at that point.
You said what?
I was saying I don't even know if they're a playing team with LaMelo healthy.
No, honestly, truly, it's up in the air. It's really all up in the air. So we shall see. We briefly talked about it, but how do we feel about DeJounte's trade to the Pelicans?
Brian,
I like it. Oh my gosh, he's about to bring up
Brian.
boy.
I won't bring it up.
Oh,
Just,
you're
just playing
stupid. You're an
every day. Every day he's been on my mind.
It's always been on my mind. Outside of the extracurricular circumstances. As far as team fit though, I like it. We talked about this. Still don't know what's going to happen with Brandon Ingram. So I think once that deal actually either happens or don't happens, we can get an idea of what this roster will look like and what fit may look like. But I don't see why he wouldn't thrive there, to be honest. I mean, he should be able to be the primary ball handler.
Mhm.
I think I like him as the primary ball handler over CJ. Respect to CJ.
Mhm.
It's not a knock to CJ. I just think CJ is better as a scorer, to be honest.
Now he's okay, yeah.
But I don't know. I
You
like
can't-
it. I like it. And I don't think the Pelicans gave up too much for him
I don't
either.
either.
So I'm not sure what Atlanta's vision is at this point, but nonetheless, they're also clearly in rebuild as well. But now, oh, sorry, the only other big extension was Donovan Mitchell did extend in Cleveland. 3 years, $150 million extension. Were we expecting him to stay in Cleveland? I wasn't.
I was not.
I guess if they see that they push the Celtics, it is giving me Hawks circa Trae Young versus the Bucks, where it's like, yeah, we made it to the
Mhm.
conference final without our star guy. We can do it again, and I don't know.
Was
I
that
don't
the
know.
was that the conference finals? No. Yes. No.
No, that was the semis for
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Oh wait, Indiana lost to Boston last.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, I can't remember this playoffs for the life of me.
It's okay.
It
But
wasn't super
Oof.
memorable.
it wasn't. But mentioning Boston, we can start there because first and foremost, where Boston get all this money from?
Two.
Where
What?
where are they hiding the money
They're
in?
paying $600 million to two players alone.
They're running. I mean, are we shocked? Every year, it's like LA and Boston have infinite money glitches because they have just a history of, whatever history.
I mean, not only do you already have Jaylen Brown on 5 years, 308, if I'm not mistaken. You have Tatum on now 5 years, 314. You extend Derek White, excuse me, 4 years, 126 million essentially, and they extended Drew. I think it was 3 or 4 years for like a hundred some million, somewhere between 1 and 125. I think for their starting five, I think they paying close to like it's a billion. It's like a
Yeah,
starting five.
yeah. And that sounds so crazy, but I think it is close to $1 billion.
Like it doesn't make. I mean, NBA money today, sure, it makes sense. But I think this does beg the question for a team like Boston. Clearly, they are in their championship window. What I am curious about, and also not to mention, they were able to sign some key reserves back for them as well. So it's not like they lost their bench entirely, right? I don't see all these players finishing out their contracts though. Realistically,
Whoa.
I don't see all five of them finishing those contracts.
Who wouldn't?
Especially if they don't. Well, I say this, especially if they don't win. If they don't go back to back, or if they don't win 2 and 3, like 2 and 3 years,
Yeah.
like after that third year, somebody's either gonna want out, and it might be one of the big two. It might be one of the Jays at that point. But if they do not go back to back, or if they do not win 2 and 3, I do not see all them players finishing those contracts like through completion. It's just not the way. Not all five. Not all five.
I think they send Drew first.
What?
I don't think it would be Drew. I think if
I think
anybody,
it would be Porzingis.
It's Drew or Porzingis. Those are the two.
Porzingis may walk potentially, because I don't know how Boston would be able to pay him by that point. Because I'm not sure what I think his contract is the shortest out.
Oh, so then boom.
Now, but how much are they going to be able to bring him back for? Because it's going to be a new deal. So
yeah. No, I thought sorry. KP's gone first then.
So if not one of those situations, like I said, if they don't for whatever reason either go back to back or win 2 and 3, I could see one of the Jays requesting a trade potentially, maybe. If they don't win, this is all contingent on like if they win or not. If they win, then they ride off to the sunset with all of them having 3-4 rings, and they can all retire after their contracts if they want to.
Truly.
What's the likelihood of another championship within the next 2-3 years?
Very likely. It's high.
Very?
I think
they can go back to back.
You think so? Like,
I mean, they have a chance. They have a chance. Like I expect them to be in the conference finals for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Getting through the East isn't the question. I just feel like, teams in the West, you got some people fortifying over there too.
I'll ask this. Who in the West got better to the point where you feel like they can truly compete with Boston?
That's a good question. I cannot answer that.
Not from what we've seen. You would think OKC, and you could potentially argue Minnesota, right? Assuming that both those teams take the leaps and their stars take the leaps that we expect, right? Especially given that both those teams obviously experienced, earlier exits than, they anticipated. More so OKC. I think Minnesota potentially kind of somewhat overachieved depending on how you were looking at them. Because I don't know how many people thought they may get to the conference finals, but nonetheless, I don't know how much better Dallas got. Are they better than they were last year? Maybe a little bit. I say maybe a little.
They lost Derrick Jones Jr. now.
Yeah, no.
They did, but I didn't realize this. They signed Najee Marshall from New Orleans, 3 years, $27 million. So when I saw that, I said, okay, that makes up for DJ Jack. And then you bring Clay in, right? And I want to say there's some other move that they made that I might be missing out on. I do think they should get another big. Well, no, I'm lying. They have Gafford. So Gafford, Lively, you got Najee Marshall now. You got Clay, Luka, Kyrie, PJ. The rookie they had, Hardy. Of Hardy's game. Hardaway Jr. is off now. Josh Green is out now. So that's already 7 players that we've named. Cleveland, if you want to add him. So like they potentially make another move though and add another rotational player or bench player? Potentially. But that's why I say I don't think they got like a lot better. I think they're a little bit better than what they were last year. But I don't know if that still puts them in a position to compete with Boston. And that's also all depending on if Boston keeps that momentum. Because I do think the East is harder. The East is going to be much harder to get through, especially if healthy. The East will not be a cakewalk for Boston this coming year. Because not only, I mean, the league in general, I think is preparing for Boston. And I think the shock of last season of like, oh, they are really, really good, like right away. I think that initial shock is gone now. And I think obviously with them being the champions, but you got to think injury to Giannis. So we know Giannis.
Exactly.
You know Giannis looking at him. The Pacers are looking at him too because they weren't fully healthy. I don't care if Cleveland's looking at him or not. I don't believe in that. They're not believe landing anymore. But the Knicks are looking at him. A young team like Orlando is probably looking at him. So there's a lot of teams in the East that are like, Boston definitely has that target, and everybody knows it's hard to go back to back. So that East is going to be, I think, a gauntlet for them come next season.
How do we feel about Philly and comparing them to Boston officially?
With what they've done? What they've done
now with Paul and Maxey, fortified there, Embiid, healthy Embiid. How does that stack up against Boston potentially in a conference finals?
My popcorn is ready.
If Joel can get there.
They lost their most important playoff player. Nicholas Batum. They lost their most impactful. He saved in his last playoffs.
Oh.
So can Paul George? They're subbing out a playoff vet and Nick Batum with an unproven vet and Paul George. I don't know.
Outside of the insane accuracy of that statement, in terms of how they match up, Ashley, they match up just about as well as you would probably want a team to. PG is obviously the X factor, though.
Yeah.
But again, the point I made when I said Philly made the most sense for PG, let PG be a defender first. Let him be a defender.
Will he?
He should. Will he? Ultimate question. We have no idea, right? But if he locks in on the defensive end and can still serve as your third offensive option,
yeah,
a lot of opportunities there for you. But I think that's how Philly can maximize this roster. Bringing Oubre back was major. Signing Caleb Martin was huge.
Yes.
Huge. So they have, once again, I mean, Philly is doing its job with surrounding Embiid. I'm not going to lie to you. Philly is doing its job of putting a team around Embiid. Healthy Embiid, don't know what the regular season looks like. But if he is healthy for the playoffs and that team is healthy for the playoffs, they're probably the best matchup for Boston.
Hey man, I'm just gonna be happy to do my part and just do what I can to help my teammates out. I don't know what I was saying before. That was Miguel, but me, Jared. I'm just gonna do what I can, and I know what they're gonna say. I know I've seen Twitter, but and you know what he said. Paul George is coming to be the number 3. He might be the number 4 because I'm gonna have some games, where I'm gonna be doing my thing. But Steve, it's been great to be on the pod today. What do you got next for us? Enough about my team. Let's talk about a rival.
You're an idiot.
About what?
Do we?
Wait. Sorry.
Do we need to touch on Clay's contract?
No, it's too much. We know that. Shouts out Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield got a crazy cheap deal from Golden State. They knew what they were doing. In comparison to Clay, they got Clay Light for half the price. Right? Is it not half the price?
A little under half. But I mean, I don't think 3 years, $50 million is. I don't think that's a lot for Clay. NBA money today, I don't think that's a lot for Clay. Just because the Warriors didn't want to
Clay
pay
5
him
years
that
ago.
doesn't mean just because the Warriors didn't want to pay him that doesn't mean it's too much. And
Yeah.
also the Lakers offered him more, and he declined that. But I'm gonna come back
Taxes?
to
Is that taxes? Because of Texas?
maybe that might be a big part of it too. But we're gonna come back to that Lakers point because that has to be addressed. But we can touch on Golden State because you brought up Buddy. So Buddy signs 2 years, 21 million in a sign and trade to Golden State. Kyle Anderson, 3 years, 27 million in a sign and trade to Golden State. So
Huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
man.
collusion. Get Draymond. Get Draymond's ass right now. That's collusion. You heard there was intense glazing in the finals coverage or in the Western Conference Finals coverage. I remember it. He was like after every game, he was like, the key is actually Kyle Anderson. He was just like, oh man, Kyle Anderson doing such a good job on Luka. Kyle Anderson has 12 points. That man was basting that man heavily. Go back to the coverage rewind the tape. I need them fined. I need a draft pick from them. I want Brandon Pajinski. I want something from him.
that's crazy.
I remember.
So Golden State loses CP and they lose Clay, but they gain Buddy Hield and Kyle Anderson. Don't think they made too many other changes to their roster. But now that this, dynasty is over in Golden State, with these new additions and with who they still have over there, what are the expectations, if any, for Golden State going into next season?
I don't have any. I don't.
Fair.
I really don't.
Fair.
What?
Anything can happen. Any team that Stephen Curry's on and Draymond Green is there to play 82 games, I have the utmost faith in something happening with them.
What's the
You
secret?
know what? They're the weirdest. Yeah, I was just about to say they're the weirdest team to me because I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't make the playoffs. I wouldn't be shocked if they were a play-in team, and I wouldn't be shocked if they had like a bottom 5 seed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
like,
I that's what I'm saying. It depends on how healthy Steph is on the year. Truly.
yeah, like wherever they end up, I just feel like it's not going to be a shocker.
Yeah.
I think it'll look different, but I mean, you're still talking about a lot of players that are still relatively in their peak. So it's just a matter about fit. I think we're so used to seeing Golden State in a particular way that I think it's just a matter of how this new roster looks, basically. But I know I agree, actually. They could land anywhere and I wouldn't be surprised. Like you said, if they missed, there'd probably be a reason where it's like, yeah, this is why they missed. If they were a playing team, we could probably sit there and be like, well, this is why they're a playing team. If they were, bottom 4, without being in the play-in some capacity, if they were like 6 or 7, 5, 6 or 7, they were probably healthy. You know what I'm saying? So, or somebody else wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So it's all up in the air there. 2 more teams to kind of focus on. So Orlando.
Sorry. Goodbye, Splash Bros. Hello, Splash Buddies. All right, Orlando. We are here.
Jesus Christ.
Jared.
But so Orlando, they extend Mo Wagner. Or Wagner. Is it Wagner?
No.
Is that how you say it?
Wait.
Wagner.
I thought they let Mo go.
No, he resigned.
We signed 2 years, 22 million extension in
I
Orlando.
thought they signed Franz. I thought that they let Mo
They
go.
did. They signed both. Franz has a 5-year, 224 million extension with Orlando.
They could have just made a
Okay,
joint
I get the-
package. They could have just paid them both.
Is Franz Michigan or is Mo Michigan?
Mo is Michigan.
Okay, I know by the college.
Yeah, why not just like pay the parents and just get them under one contract? That'd be smarter.
You're stupid. but so they signed them. They also bring back Jonathan Isaac. And they re-signed Gary Harris as well. So
I love them.
So they bring back their core essentially. Who did they add? KCP.
Yes.
That's who they added.
That's good.
I don't know exactly what this direction is, but I like it thus far. I'm a fan. They're young. They're young and they're just getting better. They are following what seems to be somewhat of a similar trajectory that OKC did. I don't think they have their Shea just yet. I think we all kind of expect Paolo to walk into that at some point in the next few years. But they have all the pieces there. And they, with the year they had last year, one could assume they are only going to get better and improve. What that looks like, don't know yet. Regular season is always up in the air, but I do think they'll be a playoff team. I do think they'll be a tough out regardless of who they play come that time if they're healthy. So, but good off season so far for Orlando. Last, but
Denver Nuggets got Dario Saric. Yep. That's not a bad one either.
So irrelevant, but
that's a very good pickup as a big that can sub in for Nikola. I think that's a, they
And
have
do what?
backcourt. They have a very versatile backcourt. Another passing big that can stretch the floor.
that's a front court, but
front court. Yeah, but otherwise, y'all see the vision.
I don't see the vision. But I hope Denver figures it out.
Hey, according to Phoenix fans, if they would have had Dario Saric, it would have beat us in those finals. But hey now. Let's
shoot, but I don't know how much of a replacement he's going to be for Joker when he's getting 2 minutes of rest per game.
Literally,
we will see. Mark my word.
We won't see him come playoff time, but that's neither here nor there. But Gail, we can touch on the very
the Prince and the King of deflections. Y'all didn't know.
Are you going to be serious about this or not? I just want to know.
His name is the King of Deflections. And then it's Torian Prince.
So anyway, for
LeBron Wright is the king of who's the king of deflection?
Ashley, don't engage.
Okay, you're right.
Google it right now. Google it right now.
Right.
No. Okay.
Yes, so I'm right.
No, Steve is right.
To clarify. The Bucks have signed DeLon Wright and Torian Prince both to 1-year deals. I'm assuming somewhere in the range of probably 8 to 10 million, something like that. The Bucks don't have people have been saying the Bucks have been having a quiet offseason, and yes, Miguel, I don't care.
I'm correct.
I'll tell you right now, I don't care.
The New York Times.
All right. Anyway, but
whatever.
So as a sports fan, but of course as a Bucks fan, I am a fan of these moves because I feel like they're making the most of what they can do. There's only so much we can do, right? We went and got 2 3-and-D players, essentially what we need. The last thing left for the Bucks to do is figure out if they're going to trade some of their core. I think the names we've heard the most are Brooke and Pat Connaughton, but it's a matter of who are we really trying to get for them and what package do we get? Obviously, I think out of the 2 players, we'll get the better package for Brooke. But if you're not bringing in a center or a forward that makes sense, or another 3-and-D that is going to be in the rotation, it doesn't really matter. And we might as well just run it back with Brooke. But I think that for the Bucks, in my opinion, I think the 3-and-D signings are fine. And I think that ultimately we've already committed to our core. So it's just about health. I think we saw what Middleton was doing when he wasn't 100%, even in the playoffs. We saw what all the players did, not being 100%, to be honest. So I think if that team is healthy, Dame, Chris, and Giannis that's already one of the top. Dame and Giannis themselves are already a top duo. At Chris, I don't know too many trios, that are better, right? You keep the core rotational players around, like you have your Brooks, right? I'm not sure who else is under contract, but you got Connaughton. I hope they use Beauchamp more this season. I hope they use AJ Green more this season. Bobby Portis, obviously. So we have our core is still fine, and ultimately we still have, in my opinion, a contending roster when fully healthy. So I think this year is just more so going to be about our core remaining healthy. Coming in with the coach and staff already set, committed to that, and just staying healthy and seeing what it looks like once we get to April. But I'm not too pressed, or I'm not tripping too much about the lack of a big splash, because there was no room for that anyway. But a fan of it so far. If we do make some type of trade and it ends up being Brooke or something like that, I just hope the package makes sense. I
Mm,
mean,
I'm not.
that's obviously ideal in a lot of ways. I don't know if Houston does it,
They wanted him
but
last year. They wanted him
but
this year. They're
since
gonna pay him a lot.
if Houston doesn't plan on extending Jalen Green or Shangoon, then who knows what's on the.
I've heard they aren't high on Shangoon and they're higher on Josh Green.
That is extremely interesting, and it does not make sense to me. But nonetheless,
Hey,
who knows? Who knows?
hey,
Who knows what may happen? Um,
hey. All I'm saying,
so what?
I wouldn't be opposed.
What
I love those two. Brooke more so. Pat also great guy.
right.
Giannis friend. Got to keep Giannis friends. But gotta look at
No, if you
in the
can trade
future.
Drew, you can trade some others.
Hey, I'm just talking about one of these guys, my neighbors. I gotta keep it kosher. I might see him at the coffee shop. So I mean, I just gotta. I'm not gonna say it.
You staying clear?
I'm not gonna say it.
All right.
What?
Anyway,
But yeah.
did you mute yourself?
He mouth
No.
trade, I think.
No. Who said that? Steve did.
Anyway,
Steve did.
I didn't say anything. Don't put it on
Hey,
me.
I'm not opposed. I'm down with Steve. I'm down with whatever my guy said.
Yeah.
I'm locked in. I'm riding, but with my guy. Anyways, continue.
The last part of free agency that I feel like we should discuss is the team that actually didn't make any major splashes, or at least none of the splashes that they wanted to make in the offseason thus far. And the reason why the Los Angeles Lakers were pursuing multiple players going into free agency. And LeBron, I guess, even offered either officially or unofficially a list of players he would be willing to take a pay cut for. List included Klay Thompson, Jonas Valanciunas for whatever reason that was. I forgot who the other players were. I think it was only one other player. But anyway, nonetheless, they didn't get any of those players, right? They signed one of their, young players to a deal, Max Christie. I guess that's somebody who they believe in. So good move for them. Signed both their draft picks. So Dalton Connect and Bronny James, obviously. But why don't any prominent free agents want to sign with the Lakers?
Go ahead.
The death threats.
Dramatic, but understandable.
I mean, name me anybody that signed in the last. Not to say that like players don't get them from any fan base, but I mean like horrendous. I mean if you were Wes Matthews when you were there for that 1 year, you probably hated it. If you were D'Lo, anytime around the trade deadline, you probably hate it.
D'Lo extended.
If you are, huh?
D'Lo signed the extension or opted in to his.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like if you go on Lakers Twitter, they had him over the Sharks and Minnows for all of the season until they saw a couple of games from him and they're like, all right, D'Lo, you're fine. But they're probably up there with Philly fans with being like some of the most malicious to their own players. But I mean, Philly fans also have a reason. But Lakers fans just seem like you can't please them no matter what. Like if you don't get a ring, if you're not producing for Papa Bron and the Bus family, if you're not busting it down for Jeanie and company, then you're not,
Oh my
the
god.
fam.
That's
You're out. You're good as the next cash package coming in. I don't know. I haven't seen any real good reason to play for LA other than to be belittled and to be thrown in trade packages for AD. And they call him A Disney. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I
I beg your pardon.
it's an ungrateful job to be a LA Lakers player. I feel like if your name isn't LeBron or Kobe, like
hey, no, rewind the tape. They call him what?
A Disney.
Never heard that before.
A Disney? No.
That's hilarious though. I love it.
I mean, there's
No,
another one, isn't it? What? There's another one that Chuck and them gave him, but it's it's neither here nor there. But I don't know. As a hooper, if I wanted to go to an NBA team, it's there in Utah where I would be like, I'm good. I'll go to New Orleans. I'll eat a table with Zion.
Right.
You know,
I think, I mean, Miguel, again, insanely accurate.
yeah,
But outside of, but I think outside of the fans more than anything, I think LA is just one of those media places. It's the same as New York or Brooklyn. I think it's one of those media places where for it's that, and I think less and less players want to play. I don't think it's that they don't want to play with LeBron, but playing with LeBron already comes with a level of stress
anxiety.
for your average player, anxiety. But then you do that in LA, and it's like
mhm,
there aren't a lot of players that want to or can, deal with that. So I think that's a huge reason. But also, I don't think the Lakers as an organization, outside of them saying we're the Lakers in our history, I don't think they've done anything really since the bubble championship, honestly, to make players feel like if I come here, I got a shot at a ring. Like we are, Bron is Bron, right? But we are past the stage in his career where him simply being on the court makes you a championship contender. Playoff
exactly.
team, probably, but championship contender, just because he's there, we just passed those days. Like he's just not in his prime like that. So I think you need more. And they haven't built that roster to make a lot of players feel like I can come into a roster that's ready to compete right now.
And I think too, the dysfunction, right? Like it's super dysfunctional there. They haven't really had I don't want to say respectable, but they haven't had a respectable coach since Frank Vogel, arguably. Like it was Darvin Ham and JJ Redick now. Like if I'm a premier athlete such as Klay Thompson or DeMar DeRozan and I look at LA, what benefits me from going here? Like you really can't even be the man because you've got Bron and AD. You're not guaranteed a ring. You're right about that. So it's like, what's the benefit of being in LA? Is the anxiety worth it? Like, are the lights and cameras and media bombarding you? Is that worth it? And the answer is no. It's kind of like the Cowboys of the NBA right now. Like, you can't get any free agent signings. The coaches aren't really benefiting the team. Like, the makeup isn't there. Why am I here? Why am I in LA? So they just don't have the respect that they once had before right now.
Yeah, I agree. And it's sad, but I guess we can all hang our hats on the fact that we get at least one more year of Bron, maybe two. But honestly, I'm really just banking on the one at some point. He probably won't announce it till after the season. Maybe he plays two if he waits for Bronny to actually get called up for a full season. Maybe that
Yeah.
might be the only thing. But yeah, no, that's been the first really week or so of free agency. I don't know if there are any other big splashes to expect. But we have the Olympics coming up, so that will be the focus for the rest of the summer. But then right after that, it'll be the finish to the WNBA season. And I guess the plus of them being paused while the Olympics are going on is their season will actually run virtually right into the NBA season because now their
Mhm.
playoffs aren't until late September. They go into October, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Went to an Aces game to the real deal.
Oh, I'm so
that,
jealous.
They like in-house entertainment. Shouts out Joe, one of the best in the game to do it. Old Bucks announcer, now Aces announcer. Chips on both. Uh, it was nuts. Like it was nuts. They demolished the Mystics. It was a bloodbath. Uh, but yeah, they're fun to watch. If you can't see them, find a way to see them because we only have them for so long.
yeah, no, jealous, jealous indeed, very jealous. But that is it for free agency, man. We got a lot coming your way though. I still want to do these draft classes and these in this dynasty conversation. So I think that might be next. But right after that, we giving y'all Olympic content, man. I'm gonna be tapped in.
Number one option, Anthony Edwards. Select team. Select team lost by 1 to the Olympic team. How history repeats itself.
Crying. We will dive into that for sure in due time. But until then, until the next episode, me and Ash are the same ones, but us two same ones and Miguel crazy self.
This is Jared McCain. I'm not even. Miguel's out of
You know
town.
what? This tracks. This tracks. If that's the case, this tracks.
Yeah, it actually does. It's giving camp counselor. It's giving
on now.
college tour guide.
Camp Rock. One of those. Anyways, it's been a great time being on the show with you two. I'll have to visit again.
You will.
Wait, Ashley, what did we say the name of the pod was gonna be? What did Miguel say?
Busting it down for the bus or something. Busting it down for the
What?
bus.
Busting it down for Jeanie?
Busting it down for Jeanie.
That's no, I didn't say
For
that.
Jeanie.
Yes, you did. You're insane.
No, Jeanie Bust Down Avalanche, something like that. I don't know.
Jeanie Bussdown is actually a shorter and more concise name, so we might go with
Oh,
that. Jeanie Bussdown.
I'm changing. So we have a basketball group chat, and everyone has a different name, like Solomon Hill. I'll die on. I'm changing it to Jeanie Bustdown now.
That's funny.
Has to be.
And on that note, we will catch y'all for the next episode. Peace.
Bye.